You know, when you think about an ancient battle, what do you picture? Is it just this massive, messy clash of swords and shields, kind of like you see in the movies? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and look at the cold, hard science of what really won and lost empires. We're diving into the system that literally built and broke entire civilizations.
So what was it? Was it just about pure brute strength, or maybe the heroism of one legendary warrior? The sharpest sword? The truth, as you might guess, is way more complex, and honestly, a whole lot more interesting. Get ready to have everything you thought you knew about ancient warfare turned on its head.
Because here's the secret. Ancient battles weren't just disorganized free-for-alls. No way! They were a system, a brutal, deadly science that was built on three core ideas: the tools of war, the training of the warrior, and the tactics that brought it all together. So forget the chaos. Think of it more like a deadly, calculated equation. All right, to really understand this system, we've got to start small. We're talking about the individual soldier and the gear they carried into battle. And this isn't just about cool-looking weapons. It's about the very specific role each piece of equipment was designed to play in a much, much larger machine.
First up, forget this sword. Seriously, the spear was the true king of the ancient battlefield, and it's not even close. Why? It's all about one simple word: reach. A wall of spear points let an entire formation fight the enemy from a much safer distance. It was a weapon made for teamwork, not for one-on-one heroic duels.
So where does that iconic sword fit in? Well, think of it as the backup plan. It was the personal argument you made when the whole system went wrong. If that spear wall broke and everything dissolved into a close-quarters mess, the shorter, quicker sword suddenly became your absolute best friend. It was a weapon of desperation, not the main strategy.
And the shield. This is where you really see the genius of it all. A shield wasn't just for you. A huge part of it was designed to protect the guy to your left. Your life literally depended on him, and his depended on you. When you locked those shields together, you stopped being individuals. You became a single, walking, living fortress.
Okay, but even the best gear in the world is totally useless in untrained hands, right? And that brings us to our second pillar, the absolutely grueling process of forging a warrior, of turning a regular person into a disciplined soldier who could actually use all this equipment the way it was meant to be used. Just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got a farmer who was handed a spear maybe 5 minutes before the battle started. On the other, you've got a professional who has drilled with that weapon for years. Now, who do you think is going to hold the line when a cavalry charge is thundering right at them? The difference wasn't just skill, it was that unbreakable discipline, forged in the fires of relentless training. And believe me, that discipline was earned the hard way. First, you had the insane physical conditioning, just being able to march for miles and then fight for hours in heavy armor. Then came the endless weapon drills, over and over, until every single block, parry, and thrust was pure muscle memory. And finally, the most critical part: formation practice, learning to stop thinking like an individual and start moving as one piece of a giant, deadly machine.
And that leads us to our final, and maybe the most important, pillar of all. This is the magic step. This is where you take those expertly crafted tools and those highly trained soldiers, and you combine them to multiply their power tenfold through the science of tactical formations.
Take a look at this. This block of soldiers, the legendary phalanx, this was the real superweapon of the ancient world. It wasn't just a bunch of guys standing together, it was a living, breathing system. The guys in the front made a wall of shields and a hedge of spears. The guys in the back added their weight, pushing forward and replacing anyone who fell. It was a single organism designed for one purpose: to crush anything and everything in its path.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? One soldier with a spear, he's vulnerable. But you take hundreds of them, you train them, you put them into a formation, and that vulnerability turns into an almost unstoppable force. The formation itself was the weapon. The soldiers were just the living parts that made it work.
So, let's put it all together. We've got the gear, the warrior, and the formation. How do these three things actually combine on the battlefield to win the day?
Well, here's the recipe for victory. It's the combination of all three of those pillars. You absolutely need well-made equipment that's designed for a specific tactical purpose. You need elite, disciplined soldiers who can use that gear without even thinking about it. And you need a smart, cohesive battle plan that puts those soldiers into formations that play to their strengths and cover their weaknesses.
Because at the end of the day, victory was never about a single magic bullet. The Romans didn't conquer the known world just because their swords were nice. The Greeks didn't dominate just because of the phalanx. Real, lasting dominance came from mastering the entire system, the weapon, the warrior, and the plan, all working together in perfect, deadly harmony.
So I'll leave you with a fascinating question to chew on. If you were an ancient general, and you could only have one of these three things be superior to your enemies, which one would you choose? Would you take the best gear, the best soldiers, or the best strategy? The answer, as you can imagine, isn't so simple. And that's exactly what made the art of ancient warfare just that,